Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Thrive in 5 podcast. So this week we have been talking on the podcast about dealing with deviating from the plan and what happens when something comes up that is off plan, that is not perfectly, calorie countable, or that maybe you don't want to calorie count, maybe you want to go out and just enjoy yourself. Thinking about how to handle those events. And we talked yesterday a little bit about how to handle those events like after the fact and how to think about them, and remembering that it's not what we do that's off plan that matters, it's how we get back on track that's really important, and how the word off plan is a bit of a myth. Anyway, but today I wanted to talk about a framework that we use in the TFP that I've actually used with a couple of clients literally today to deal with events that come up that are kind of spontaneous, that you want to go to, but that don't feel like they quite align with the plan, in inverted commas. Now, the first thing I want to say is the reason that meals out feel stressful is because we think of them as off plan. Something that we believe in the TFP, and something that my mantra around food is really kind of is really about, is this idea that food isn't just fuel. It isn't just about macros and calories and weight loss. It serves so many different functions in our lives, and that is why, as a foodie, I built the Foodie Function Framework, which we use in the TFP to help clients deal with moments where they are eating out. And this framework basically asks, what function does this meal serve? So let's say that your partner has sent you a message and said, let's go on a date night tomorrow night. You are going to ask yourself, what function does this meal serve? And there are 4 options. I know it's called the Foodie Function Framework, but there are technically 4 options. The first function is fuel. Some meals you have are just about nourishment. Maybe you are grabbing a quick lunch between meetings. Maybe you are popping to a service station on the way somewhere. Like, you're not there for the food. You are not there for anything but just to kind of make sure that you've got some food in you so you're not starving hungry. You're there just to kind of fuel yourself. The second function you might have is enjoyment. So these are meals that are purely about enjoying the food, enjoying the experience of eating. So I'm going out at the weekend with my parents to a very, very good local restaurant that should have a Michelin star but doesn't. It will get there one day, I'm sure. And we will have a tasting menu. And that is not about fuel. I am not eating that food to fuel my workout the following day. I am eating that food because it's about the experience. It's about enjoying the food, about being very present, and like, I am there for the food. I am not going to think about the calories in that. That's an enjoyment meal. You then have a connection meal. That's the third function, connection. And these are meals that are about the people you're with. So maybe it is catching up with a friend. Maybe it is a date night. Maybe it's a family dinner. Maybe it's dinner with the kids. Maybe it is actually a meal with your team, with work. And the food is maybe a little part of it, but the real focus is the moment you're sharing together, the event that you're at together. And then the fourth function is convenience. Sometimes meals out happen just because they need to. Just because, you've had a really long day and you decide, let's just pop out for a curry and have something to eat. Maybe it is you are on the go and just need to grab something because you can. That's a convenience meal. And in reality, a lot of meals will serve multiple purposes. So there are lots of meals you'll have that will be about enjoyment and connection. There'll be meals out that you have that are about fuel and convenience. There might be meals that are just about fuel, and actually you just need to have some food and you will cook it, and it might not be the most convenient thing, but it's fuel. There'll be other meals you have that you're not actually super hungry, but it's the right time to eat, so it's a convenience meal. What you need to do is ask yourself what function that meal out is serving. So let's go back to your partner's date night. Your partner has messaged you and said, let's go on a date night tonight. That meal is most likely primarily about enjoyment. It's about enjoying the food, and it's about the connection. That is why you are there. So that is a meal that you will choose not to calorie count, to treat it as a sort of off plan, I hate that phrase, as a meal that is not, calorie counted, it's not part of the diet, it's one that may take you over your deficit, but it's a meal that you choose to take. The other option is your partner messaged you and said, babe, I'm knackered, like we've had a really long day, should we just pop out for a quick curry? That meal is one that is about convenience, and that is one where maybe you might choose to track it, to guesstimate, to include it within your calories. I had this exact conversation with a client today who had a meal out come up with work, and we had this conversation, what is this meal about? Is it a meal where you're there for the connection of the people? Is it about the food? Is it about, the people that are there? Like, what is this about? Is it convenient? It was a work function. She wasn't really there for the food. She wasn't that fussed about it. She wanted it to be within her calories, so we looked for an option that worked. I had another client who messaged me with a spontaneous date that came up, which was very exciting. So we decided that meal was about connection and enjoyment, so she wasn't going to track that meal, and she was okay with that. But once you start looking at meals through this lens, it changes everything, because it removes this idea of meals being on plan or off plan and feeling like you are making a choice that isn't one you're really enjoying. It allows you to ask yourself, why am I having this meal? What is it all about? And what do I want to get out of it? And then you can choose, do I want to calorie track this meal or do I not? Do I want to just be really present and enjoy the food? If so, I'm going to be really focused on that, and I'm not going to stress about the calories. I'm just going to focus on enjoying it. If it's about connection, maybe you choose to have something slightly lighter because the food's not really a priority, but you choose to be really mentally present in the people that are around you and not worry so much about the food on your plate. If it's about convenience, you might just say, you know what, I'm going to calorie track it because I'm just eating out because I can't be able to cook or because I have to. I'm going to make the best choice I can in the moment, track it in as best I can, and move on. When you do this, it removes the guilt, it removes the stress, and it means you can be much more intentional and actually enjoy your meals out. And afterwards, you don't need to make up for it or burn it off or undo what you've just done. You just need to draw a line under it, say that happened and I approached it in the best way that I could given the purpose of the meal, and then move on from it. Give it a go next time you eat out. Don't overthink it. Figure out why you are having the meal, what the purpose of it is, and use that to guide how you make those choices. If you want to chat through how to do this in a bit more detail, please slide into my DMs. My Instagram handle is @amytyler.tfp, and I will catch you tomorrow.